You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
Opinions expressed are those of the show host, not WPSL or Port St. Lucie broadcasters. Any reproduction or reuse of this program without the written consent of WPSL is strictly prohibited. And now, welcome to the Restoration America Home Show, putting America back together one home at a time. Your calls are welcome at 772-340-1590. And now here's your host, Glenn Smith.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. October 7th, 2019. It's the Restoration America Home Show coming at you right here from WPSL. That's right. Both networks. We're about to drop it on you. WSTU, good morning. Martin County, the Heritage Station. We'd like to welcome you to join us here at Talking Treasure Coast WPSL. We are on all networks today, talking to everybody out there. If it's your first time hearing us, we are a Restoration America Home Show. We currently have Amber in the studios with us with Greg this morning. Russ just stepped out, and we'd like to thank you for joining us. Keep us tuned in. We're going to talk a little bit about issues and signs to your house, everything from mold and biohazards and concerns that are simple all around us, such as carbon monoxide, things that everybody has carports. We don't commonly think about this, Greg. You know, it's something that people start their car, it's backed in. Their entrance door is commonly, think about Savannah Club, Spanish Lake, some of these communities out there. If you can hear us, doesn't have to be a garage to affect a home. A lot of ACs are in closets outside. You have to remember, the unit that takes the air in the house is the same unit that's in the house. So if you're just putting a car right up against the door or somewhere that enter and exit. I was at a house last week, and it makes me go into this, but I don't want to jump into that right away. I want to talk a little bit about Restoration America's Home Show and why we're on the radio talking to you from WPSL and WSTU. But before we get started, Amber, how was your weekend?
It was good. Very busy.
Very busy. And you, Mr. Greg?
Hey, it was crazy. Yeah, good weekend.
You know, we were supposed to have all this torrential rain, and I did not see it as it's 83 degrees outside and partly cloudy this morning. And you know what? I was looking at the schedule.
We did have it last night.
For all week, last week, and into the weekend. I made my whole weekend plans around that weather, but it all caught up with us, as Greg said last night. You heard it banging off the side of the house. I want to say, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was coming
crazy.
through quick, and you could feel how those waves were coming through. It almost felt like little flashes from the storms, the way it would move through very quickly. I heard it hitting the house. By the time I got up, it was starting to stop already. It was starting to stop. Go listen to me here. Folks, we want to introduce you to Restoration America's Home Show, and it's really regarding simple as water leaks, mold in your home, insurance claims that you've had in the last year that you may have questions or concerns about. In the upcoming weeks, we're going to start taking calls to the station to talk to you, the people that are listening to us out there, about the problems in which you've had. Signs in your house that you could have mold or concerns of risk. Please, folks, there's simple as a strange odor could set off a big problem. But if you ignore it, you know, commonly Amber and I see people call us after the fact and say, hey, I know this has been going on in my bathroom. Let's talk about dehumidification. Something simple in bathrooms. Mold, folks, is in every area that you don't see that has moisture feeds and no air exchange. So if you have a door in your hallway that's a closet, maybe that door doesn't breathe. It's packed full of pictures and everything else. When you take that out, commonly people find mold in those areas. No air movement. Again, moisture feed, meaning humidity, would have to be high for something like that to take place. Let's just back up a minute. So, Amber, you said your weekend was busy. Did you do anything exciting before we get into all this technical stuff?
We are in the process of renovating an RV for my parents as a surprise.
So the reason why I'm asking her this, she came across a little mold this weekend trying to help somebody out.
Uh-oh.
And I found entertainment in this because she was going to our office to get equipment this weekend to try to figure out how to dry an RV floor. So this kind of brings you that Restoration America doesn't just take care of...
So you do RVs too?
RVs, cars, you know, we deal with everything from odors in cars that can't be removed, which there's several reasons for that, all the way to residential, commercial businesses. So, Amber, I'm going to let you tell us just briefly, you were doing what in that RV? Give us a little heads up.
We are doing an extreme RV makeover, so to speak, for my parents while they are away on vacation. We're going to put in new floors, redo the cabinets,
That's
bedding,
nice.
dinettes, and when we were pulling up the old floor, there was a previous water leak.
So
Part
when-
of it was dried, and
But
it
the
was
other
very-
part?
it was still soaking wet in the bathroom floor.
So this is the example of what I want to get at is even though you don't see it, and you know that something's going on there, that water is actually locked in. So Amber has found that once you remove that, was it a laminate floor or a vinyl floor? What kind of floor was down?
It was vinyl sheet flooring.
Vinyl sheet flooring. So again, you will see with vinyl sheet flooring with laminate that's a pop and lock system, the old style laminate, not the new vinyl planking I'm talking. It will lock water in. Even the vinyl planking, it'll lock water in. So just remember, once the water's there, it's not going anywhere. It just creates an issue from that point. Remember, it's the water you don't see that is the problem. It's the water we get up is fine. It's the water you don't see. And being locked in, you have to know baseboards have caulking. The floor, the baseboard sits on top of the floor. So commonly these floors are locked in. Commonly a floating floor has enough room to move just a little bit. When I say floating floor, these floors actually gradually will flex with the temperatures, and movement needs to be in a laminate wood floor. So what I'm getting at is Amber was taking this RV apart, which Restoration America has done many, everything from buses to the nuclear power plant. We've taken it apart, not necessarily take the plant apart for those folks that are critical out there. Let's be real
I
critical
was just
here.
going to say. It's,
We want to be real clear, but we have handled large federal accounts such as that. So it's where I'm going with this, Amber. So you guys had to do what? You had to do some dehumidification or?
Yep, we ran a dehu overnight to try to pull out any of the moisture that was there, and then put in an air mover to try to dry up everything else that we couldn't get to. And then once it was dry, cut out all of the brittle, molded floor and subfloor and replace it.
And you know, Amber says cut it out, which she makes such a great point here because some of my notes here actually specify that you have to know one thing about mold, folks. We got a bunch of facts from the Mayo Clinic we're going to lay on you today, a bunch of facts that everything we're going to tell you today is factual, and we can back it up based on these doctors that have researched it. So we want to start with talking about this product that was inside an RV in a closed environment. Most RVs are closed up most of the time. And, you know, there's a percentage of those of you out there that travel year-round and keep moving, but RVs are commonly closed up. The exchange of air is very important, and if you have mold in there or you have mildew, it's all in the same family. Let's say that. And what we want to encourage you to think about is when you open these units up, leave it open for a couple days before you just jump in it and go live in it. Especially if you know of a leak. This, you know, RVs are known to leak, Greg. We commonly see walls.
We used to have a boat. It's the same thing.
Well, let's just put in another $1. You know how that goes. You know, and what's mind-blowing is I had no idea the depreciation on RVs, that it was one of the largest depreciating items that
didn't
you
know
could
that.
physically purchase. I was shocked. And some of these machines are $1 million, $800,000 for some of these RVs. And again, some of them hold their value better than others, but it is the largest depreciating
Yeah, there's
item.
that dealer down in Stewart that has these $1 million buses.
Oh,
It's
I know-
like,
I know who
holy
you're
s-
talking about.
Holy smokes!
You know, I once went in one of those dealers, and maybe my shoes weren't worth enough or my clothes, but they did not let me look around. I was shocked. And again, we're not going to specify who or where or when, but I was shocked I wasn't able to look around. I guess I didn't fit the profile.
You were too common.
I was too common. Exactly. So going back to what Amber said about the RV, in this case, she's going to cut it out because mold is rooted. It's not something that can be just wiped off. You know, for years, everybody thought that, you know, we could take some bleach, we cover it up and wipe it off. The great part is bleach works great for what it sees and touches, but not for the rooted part of the mold. And that's the disconnect in the myth.
Oh, so Clorox doesn't work.
It works great for the outside, but again, it's like a plant. Mold is rooted, and it's rooted to whatever the surface is. Most of the time is porous in some fashion, including drywall, leathers, cloth, blankets. You know, we commonly will get a client where we'll go pick up a quantity of dry cleaning, and it is, you know, for a water damage that had mold, and everything must be dry cleaned that was in that environment. And that's actually, you have coverage for that. Your insurance coverage covers this.
I didn't know that.
It's a lot
Wow.
like if you have water damage. People don't realize a water damage claim is covered. You don't have to reach in and get your deductible to have your home dried. You have coverage. 99% of the people out there have coverage for this. Again, and if you have a question, call our office. We'd be happy to review your policy and help you. If you have a concern, 772-335-1600. Our office is in Port St. Lucie, right on Village Green Drive. Folks, let me tell you, we have 10 years of in business right at that location, and my production manager has every certification under the sun and continues his education, focusing on liabilities for all parties involved. We don't want any, when we say liability, we talk about somebody getting sick, somebody not getting better from mold being taken away. We have some clients that we've changed their entire atmosphere in their home based on taking mold out. Their kids are hypoallergenic. We have a child that was, you go to the doctor, you got to either move or you're going to have to figure something out. And this client of ours, she ended up coming to work for us after we were able to change her whole home life with her son. He's hyperallergenic to mold, dust, very, very hypoallergenic. So ultimately, his doctor's saying, you've got to do something. We placed an air scrubber. We went in and evaluated where the mold was. We created a protocol of action of exactly the scope of work that was going to be done. We removed them from the location for 2 weeks. When they went back, the atmosphere, the health of their son was night and day. It was miraculous for the parents to see because they had been back and forward to the doctor so many times. We were able to find a solution that was factual. They seen a difference. Their doctor did blood work. The blood work was the best it had ever been.
Did you have to take out all the carpet?
We took carpet out, baseboards out, and drywall out.
Ooh.
And then most of all, we had the ducts cleaned, also the coil cleaned, which we have a vendor that's going to be talking with us next week. He's joining us as an advertiser. And I can promise you, he's going to explain the detail of why your ducts and your coil, not just the ducts, the coil where the AC is making the air cold. We want that to be cleaned also. So we'll get into that next week, but we're just trying to focus right now on the simplicity of removal. And a lot of people out there that says, your bathroom. People see the humidity build in bathrooms. If you don't have a proper ventilation fan, listen, folks, I'm telling you, that little fan in the ceiling is very important. When you're showering, turn it on. Give the humidity somewhere to go, not just to seep into the pores of the drywall. And I'm sure if your house is like mine, we don't paint every year or every 2 years. Not if I don't have to, unless my wife gets on me and makes me do it. I'm sure Greg gets
Every
that.
20 years.
20 years, there you go. Nobody likes painting anyway. It's much easier to call somebody to paint. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, Restoration America Home Show is just coming to you so you understand that we are a full restoration company catering to the removal of mold, the remediation, and then guaranteeing you a neutral third-party testing representative to make sure that it's done right. And if you've had an insurance claim in the last year that's regarding mold and you have questions or concerns, maybe it wasn't taken care of correctly, call us at 772-335-1600. Again, 772-335-1600 right here on the Treasure Coast. Port St. Lucie, right on Village Green Drive, right near the new Crosstown Parkway. I'm sure all you folks down the middle are enjoying that. Getting to US 1 in 2.5 seconds, I guess. It's pretty quick now.
Yeah, you're just a block east of the new Crosstown exit. Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's that location. You're starting to see everybody go to the beach and head out to the island that way now. The car count has picked up dramatically.
I was
no
going to
question.
ask you, have you seen an influx in cars?
have.
Amber's there every day. She could probably better tell you.
We definitely have, which is nice.
Yeah, that's great.
So, as we progress with this show, we're going to get into, again, I just want to tap back on something, Greg. If you had a claim, you have a concern or a question, you can always call us here at the show. We'll always take your call if you don't mind going on the air with us. With that said, if you don't want to go on the air, call our office, 335-1600, and talk to one of the ladies in the office. This is our business, folks. If it's a water damage you had a year ago, call us and let us try to review that you got everything you were supposed to. There's no money left on the table. We would encourage you to know We are Restoration America, based out of Port St. Lucie, and we have the ability to travel from West Palm to Vero, wherever your business, home, or RV is in this case. We'll send Amber for the RV restorations now that she's so good at it, folks. If you could, call us, 335-1600. If you have a question, we want to answer it for you. If you've never called about mold, you have a question, call us here at the show, WPSL, WSTU. We're coming at you live this morning, Monday morning.
When disaster strikes, whether by Mother Nature, fire, or water, the last thing you want to do is go back and forth with your insurance company. So don't get rocked by your home's structural loss. Call Restoration America to represent you with your insurance claim. 772-335-1600. Restoration America is your local stormwater and loss repair provider. They have the knowledge the insurance companies don't want you to know. Restoration America is here for the people and are your local emergency response team. Call them now for a pre-storm agreement so you'll be guaranteed to have the contractors and Restoration America working for you at 772-335-1600. Restoration America, putting America back together, one home at a time.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Restoration America Home Show. It's October 7th. That's right, 2019. It's 83 degrees, partly cloudy. We are headed for a beautiful week, it looks like. We have escaped the rain overnight, and we are back talking a little bit about restoration. This is the Restoration America Home Show. We're coming to WSTU, the Martin County Heritage Station, and WPSL, Talk of the Treasure Coast. We want to welcome you to our show this morning. We're talking a little bit about mold, exposures, how to avoid it, and just we're kind of all over the place, actually. We're talking this morning right now about the symptoms that could be symptoms that you could be seeing in your home. You know, we have a ton of modular homes in this area, Greg, and over a period of time, we commonly hear the same concerns and complaints regarding symptoms, health symptoms that start affecting people by not addressing simple matters of a leak. And, you know, when you have modular homes, you have a lot of opportunity for it to leak. It's put together with siding, it's put together with a moisture barrier, and 2x4s. There's not a whole bunch that's why they're so light. And, you know, they've held up for so many years.
It's like a stationary RV.
It goes back to square one, exactly. It's exactly what it is and exactly how it's built. So, and it's built to be light, you know, for moving. But, you know, we've started to see symptoms in a lot of these units that come from air conditioning because the AC is under the house. So if the AC ducts happen to come down at all, or they come loose from the strapping in which they come with, and then there's a moisture barrier that covers the bottom of that trailer, or double wide, again, once the moisture barrier is penetrated, usually problems begin over a period of time after that. Otherwise, if we had a little flood a little while back, what was it? Was it Faye? I think that
was one of them, yeah.
One of those 25 storms we've had, folks. And we were getting calls to pump out underneath these homes and then have somebody come out and reconstruct and put it all back together. And I can tell you, we were getting calls where people were having symptoms such as coughing, wheezing, stuffy noses, runny nose, red eyes, the itchy skin and eyes. You know, we ever see some of the elderly folks out there, their eyes are just running? Doesn't mean that's the symptom. I'm just telling you the Mayo Clinic explains that as far as nosebleeds could even be created from it. So symptomatically, people that are hypoallergenic should address things like this. This is important. And if you're having some of these type of symptoms and you can't figure it out, and you know that something's going on in your house, nor can your physician figure it out, these are just simple things we want you to think about. That if this is something going on in your house, we want to address it. Especially like with Amber. Amber was taking apart the RV, doing a good gesture for her parents. It's a great surprise. So if anybody else has an RV, needs it fixed, drop it by Amber's place. Over here. I'm only joking, just joking. Pump the brakes. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, she takes up the floor. She finds out that there's something going on here that she never expected in her project. Now, this is where you have to take time to address that, you got to cut it out. You got to take care of it the right way. So then in the future, when you put this brand new floor down, there's no repercussions that are going to take place from not addressing it the right way. So, Amber, when you guys were done, you used the dehumidification. Dehumidifier, folks, takes the moisture from everything. It dehumidifies, such as your air conditioner in your house is another form of dehumidification. God forbid you were to have a water damage or something takes place, you always run that air. So, Amber, once it was dry, you guys were able to do what then?
After it was dry, we were able to go ahead and cut out all the damaged, mold flooring and bag it and dispose it and get it out of there. My mom has health problems, so for her to be in there and breathe any of that is not good for her in a sense. So I'm kind of glad we found it when we did and we were able to get rid of that. And when they start to use it, when they get back, it's clean, safe, sanitary, and I don't have, to worry about her being 5,000 miles from home and we have a medical problem.
Did you guys encapsulate it? Did you have to spray it with the white kills going back?
We did afterwards, just to make sure anything that we didn't cut out was sealed in, encapsulated, and taken care of, just in case there was anything that we missed.
It just comes down to the bottom line is if you have any compromised immune system. Listen, I know several people with lupus, people that have asthma, people that have COPD, thank you. I want to make sure I have my letters in the right way. That any of these type of symptoms that could happen to them, they don't need it. They don't need anything additional, and it only irritates the situation. Mm-hmm. So as Amber was saying, she put kills on it after she cut it out. The reason is to contain anything that she didn't get out. And she couldn't have said it better. She really couldn't have said it better. So if you have asthma, if you're hyperallergenic, if you have a compromised immune system, and you think for some reason there's mold in your house or a mold area or a window leaking, you want to give us a call at 335-1600 Restoration America in Port St. Lucie. Amber, so going forward, do you have any space for RVs next week?
Sure.
No.
Give me a call. Call us at the office.
Because I know there's a ton of RVs out there leaking still. I think it just really keep your eye open for growth in your bathrooms. Keep that humidity fan running. Take the humidity out of the bathrooms, folks. It doesn't sound that important. It is that important.
All right. We will be back after Florida State News here on Restoration America throughout the Treasure Coast from Sebastian to Palm Beach. Welcome aboard.
On your radio at AM 1590, on the web, plus Google Home and Alexa. Ask for us by name, WPSL Digital 1590. You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
Good morning, WSTU 1450 WPSL, Talk of the Treasure Coast, and we are joined by Martin County's Heritage Station, WSTU, this morning. This is Glenn with Restoration America's Home Show. We're here with Greg and Amber, and we're just talking a little bit about things that can happen in your house that we don't even realize that could harm you, things that could make your life easier, better, such as your health, dealing with concerns and or bacteria in your home that's not needed, such as the concern is mold. So we want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, everything we say here today is an explanation of our expert opinion, and everything we're bringing to you is based on experience and knowledge in which we've learned in our continuing education. I carry a 520 license, which is actually an adjuster's license, the same as the insurance adjuster is going to come out to your house. And the reason I do that as the owner of the company, I want to understand what's important to my customer. You are the client. You are the person with an issue, an insurance claim, some type of loss, either it be structural or contents. Our goal is to attempt to get ahead of that in us understanding what the needs are of the insurance company. When they get through to your water damage, we know the way it's going to go. We've already explained it to you, so there is no surprises. Restoration America, we meet the adjusters. We go there. The adjuster's going to be there Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Amber sends that to our phones. We know. And most of the time, it's one of the owners that are meeting you. We don't send out reps for our company. We come ourselves. So we want to reassure you, Restoration America being a locally owned and operated company, handling all forms of restoration, general contracting. We have a sister organization that handles that for us. Please know something. We're an A to Z company. And it's not that you often will find somebody that will give you an opinion. It doesn't have to benefit us. We want to come out and give you a free opinion, tell you what we see factually. I should take the opinion statement out. Our opinion or our estimate is a pricing matter. I'm coming there to make sure that if there's something you have a concern, there's no cost to you. Call our office at 335-1600. Ask for Glenn. I will come to the phone or I will come out and meet you at your house and be happy to walk through it with you personally. Please give Amber a call at 335-1600 at our office in Port St. Lucie. If you have any questions regarding your insurance policy, call your agent. Ask them, are you covered for this or that? Starting with mold. Mold is a huge exclusion that's just went into play. I would encourage you, as of July 1st, many laws changed for the insurance company. The reason I bring this information to you is because nobody else is going to tell you unless they're educated in it, and I'm here to share this with you. That's why we're on the air, Greg, really. We want people to understand there is a way to get factual answers and representation to the customer, just as the insurance company has. Send somebody out that's equally educated and understands the process. It makes it easier for people. It really does.
Now, there are some insurance companies, like the one that we have, that killed the mold coverage as of a couple of years ago.
Yes, and they just put the final kibosh on that just July 1st. Amber and I were reading a ton of changes.
So they're rescinding all that?
No. They're just adding to it.
Oh, they're
now.
adding.
They're
to
just
it.
adding to it. They're not taking anything back, and it just comes down to you will have to pay for an additional purchase, an additional part of the policy to have this type of coverage. It will not come standard in a policy as it has in an HO3 or an HO4 policy, which is a homeowner's policy without an association. HO6 policy is considered an association policy. So otherwise, remember, those people that live in multifamily or you live in a condo, you do not own the drywall. Let me throw something heavy at you. Look around at the pictures that are on the wall there. Yes, those pictures. And the drywall in which it hangs on does not belong to you. It belongs to the association from a liability standpoint. Let me say that. So please know that if you were to have a water damage in a multifamily living, most of the time, let's say go back to the 99.9%, most of the time, Greg, the association, they will be owning the drywall. So if you say this needs to be replaced, they say that needs to be replaced, they have the final word because they're paying the bill. So they pay for replacement of drywall in an HO6 position, meaning a multifamily living complex. The insurance company doesn't have any say that represents you regarding the drywall. So we commonly find that in these situations, it gets a little sticky, if you would. So we try to dance very gently with the associations, and we try to respect everybody's guidelines. You know, each building out on the beach has a different set of guidelines.
And we all know there's no mold on the beach.
No, absolutely not. So we'll leave that right there, Greg. I'm not making any accusations for the record, but we have been to many places out there, and obviously with the humidity, and that is the salt just is devastating to what you see it do to those buildings out there. So they can maintain it as fast as they want or as fast as possible. Doesn't mean they'll stay up with the damages that the corrosion and all that creates. But to go back a little bit to all the new listeners at WSTU, the Martin County to Palm Beach County, we want to welcome you to the show. Every Monday at 10 a.m. we're here. And we just want to explain a little bit of detail, share a little bit of our experiences with you. We don't take things too serious, but we are here. If you have a serious concern, we want to come out to your house, do an assessment, take a look at it. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but we can give you a factual answer if there's a concern there. Instead of waiting for it to become a problem is kind of where we're going with this.
Well, and I know you said that as soon as we get off the air here, You're on the road to Panama City again.
Yes, I am. Yes. You know, the phone doesn't
Still,
stop.
Michael is still.
It is,
They're
Greg.
still rebuilding.
It is. You know what's amazing about Panama City is they had no idea, really, the devastation until they started to assess it further and further and further.
Never been hit.
We're talking about houses that are still without roofs. People are still living in a loss of use setting, meaning they're in a condo or an apartment. And, you know, insurance companies pay a ridiculous amount of money for your loss of use relocation because usually it's in a catastrophic loss time. So there's a supply and demand matter there. Contractors coming and people trying to relocate to get their homes fixed. So in Panama City, there is a great deal of people still displaced. I have about 17 or 18 customers that still are not living in their homes out of 50. So we committed to 50
That
houses.
was over a year ago.
Correct. October 10th was the storm. We came on the 13th, and we commenced work, I think, on the 14th. So I can reassure you that it took 3 or 4 days just to acclimate and get yourself into that environment. So like Greg said, I'm leaving for Panama City this afternoon. Actually, directly after the show, I need to be there by 5:30, 6 o'clock tonight as we have appointments in efforts to resolve some matters of concern. These clients still having mold issues, still having where the roof wasn't fixed for weeks and weeks and weeks. Even though we did the remediation weeks and weeks ago, months and months ago, the roofs waiting to be put on created additional damage. So if you don't abate, we'll talk just briefly on abatement. You know, if your house is leaking, you have an obligation. You must put something on it, try to prohibit it. Your job is to abate any further damage to the property. No matter what, you sign a commitment when you sign that contract that you will do whatever you have to do within your physical ability without harm to yourself to protect the property. Meaning if there's a storm coming, you have an obligation to protect the windows. If you don't put something up on the windows, folks, they are not paying the claim. 90% of the time, they're not going to pay. If you don't make a conscious effort to protect your property and abate any further damages, Amber will tell you, we've seen this many times. People, the interior of the claim, this part of the claim's not being covered. You covered all these windows, but why didn't you cover this one? It's not a debatable product, unfortunately. There's nothing for us to even be able to debate other than, we ran out of wood, we ran out of time, the wind started blowing, Dorothy went by with the Wizard of Oz, we just had to go in the house. There's no good answer. What it comes down to...
What about hurricane windows?
Say it again, I'm sorry?
Well, if you have hurricane
impact,
windows.
sure, you don't have to cover them. Again, that's the abatement part. I mean, obviously,
Okay,
we know
gotcha.
impact windows. They even have now like a cloth that I see a company using that goes in front of the windows, and it just rolls up when they're done like a blanket, and you put it away in a box. I was blown away, and it's actually tested and proven, and they say it works. Yeah, 2x4 tested, the 150 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Which, have you ever seen that done?
Yes, actually, I've done some television stories of those. Yeah.
Mind-blowing the amount of pressure that pushes. To go back to Panama City for just one more minute, all the way to Tallahassee, you're talking the huge pine trees we talked about a couple weeks ago. These pine trees were blocking roads, so you actually had volunteers clearing roads to neighborhoods when this all happened. And we were loading our trucks in North Carolina coming from the past hurricane. I can't even recall Florence. Thank you so much, Amber. As you can tell, folks, Amber's here to keep me in line. So Florence made a mess of Carolina. It left an extreme amount of flooding. Actually, as I discussed a couple weeks ago, it took a long time to get where we were going in Carolina because the highways were closed. With that said, we start looking at the lineup of weather that they had for a period of 4 weeks. October 10th, we arrived the 13th. So we got back. We were there in Panama City on the 13th, and we were cleaning up on the 14th, and there was people living in tents in their front yard. There was no stores. There was no gas, no food. And I will tell you, the Red Cross, what a great organization. They fed all of the contractors and the police. There must have been 2,000 troopers up there, and then the U.S. The gentleman, the reserves,
National Guard,
excuse me.
Bet. Yeah.
We want to put our hats off to them also. These guys, when I tell you, worked tirelessly working from traffic. They'd have 3 or 4 troopers at an intersection just so they could relieve each other, and they'd be there for 8-10 hours directing traffic, and it was a real team effort. But the Salvation Army, let me tell you, when they're ringing that bell, folks, drop a dime, a nickel, a quarter, whatever you could do. They fed that entire community, all of Panama City, Lynn Haven, Youngstown, all of that market, all the way down to Mexico Beach. They fed these people day in and day out, and they took great care of people, giving them health care items, everything from deodorant to soap and toothbrushes, because people had lost everything. And still to this day, you have containers, pods, 40-foot cargo containers with all of their furniture, all of their stuff waiting for their homes to be done. And the more the insurance companies play games with people back and forward, it's holding up the process.
Okay, so you mentioned that all the furniture is in those pods. Are they watertight?
Well, in this again, watertight or not, the humidity, climate control issues. I have a concern of climate control issues. I see the liability to the insurance company for not offering a climate control position or requesting a climate control position. So, again, it could go both ways. It'll be a third-party litigation type thing. But I would encourage you to know that if you have to put something, Greg makes a heck of a point here, you have to put something in a container. We live in the tropics. We have 80% humidity. So if you have no air movement, you have this dark environment again, and now we have 80% humidity. Leather, textiles, porous, carpet, padding, all of these things collect mold, and it gravitates to it. It's not an option. It's how it goes. So again, remember, Greg, it's as blunt as we could put it. This storm that hit Panama City is still affecting them today, just as much as it was in the beginning. The difference is they got power and they got stores open, but you can drive down and see plazas with no fronts on the buildings still, and they're just waiting for demolition on a lot of those properties still.
What about Mexico Beach? Is that ever going to come back?
Mexico Beach is a very sad situation because you have a lot of emotion that's tied up there. People lost everything they owned. Think about everything that's in your closet in the back room right now. Think about everything that you've saved in bedroom number 2 that nobody stays in, because that's the storage room.
Yes.
So let's get right to the punch. Imagine all those collectibles and the simple things that are valued to us, the treasures that are important to us that we've collected all these years. They're gone. And commonly, people don't recognize the difference between flood insurance, regular homeowners insurance. What does the hurricane policy cover versus the homeowner's policy covers? So there's a lot of differences that play in there. And that's why Restoration America's Home Show is on the radio with you now. And we're going to be here for several weeks to come. We're having a great time here on WPSL. And new to WSTU, all the listeners on WSTU, we'd like to welcome you, especially this morning, to simulcast with us here from WPSL, and we, Restoration America, the Home Show, based out of Port St. Lucie, locally owned and operated. Just a reminder, I am not a spokesperson. I am the owner of the company. I am here because I want to share information with people and educate them. Going forward, Amber, is the RV put back?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. So it sounds like Amber's got another project going into the weekend.
Another weekend, right?
Another
I'll
weekend.
give you an update next Monday.
All right. Well,
where we stand.
Listeners, remember, we're going to want to see pictures of this RV when it's done, so we'll get them put on the camera for you there so you can see them on all our Skype people out there. Greg, when you talk about your house and comparisons and such simple analogies that you've come up with, a lot of what we talked about is feasible to you over there. You've been through a few hurdles there with the insurance company, and you have found little leaks cause big problems. And as we progress in this show, folks, we're going to talk about a variety of stuff. But I want to encourage you to know that we're a local company that will come out, will assess what's going on at your house. If you have a water damage this week, we just want to be the person that you call in that hour of need. Please know that our response time is about 30 to 38 minutes. We track this very closely. We pride ourselves from the time that the call comes in at 10 a.m. We're there by 10:38, 10:40. Traffic, we jump right over the traffic, folks. Don't even think that if you see somebody jump in traffic, that's us. When we're going to an emergency call, we treat it like an emergency call. You'll commonly pull up. Our trucks have lights. They sit in the road. They're there for an emergency, to extract water, to put your home back. We want to be the person you call in that hour of need. We want to kind of brand it in your mind. If you can hear my voice, Restoration America. Restoration America. We are your people when there's a problem. Water, fire, mold, concerns at the house that could be harmful to your health, such as mold, call us. We are the specialists. Restoration America, 335-1600. Again, Greg, I want to thank you this morning for all that you've inputted. Amber, we're going to check back with her next week on the RV, no question.
And by the way, when you make that phone call to Restoration America, ask for Amber, because Glenn's never there.
Yeah.
So
Somebody's got to see the
Always out in
people.
the field.
he's the guy on the road. So no, seriously. But and what impresses me is that you guys are the owners, and that works.
It does. And people, when we talk to them, we want them to know that. We want them to know our cell phone numbers are printed on our cards. All of our cards are laminated. We're in the water damage business. Go figure. So every card we give to somebody, I had a guy come up the other day with a 9-year-old card. He had a problem with his drywall. We go out to the house, we look at it, and he brings me one of my first printed cards in my first year of business, and I was so impressed. He says, "I have your card in my refrigerator." And I thought to myself, wow, this guy, he really, it left a lasting impression. So I want to reassure you that we are your people. We are here for you. We are the people's people when it comes to restoration. We want to be on your mind. We want to be the person that you call in that hour of need, as I said earlier.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we'll round third and head for home.
When disaster strikes, whether by Mother Nature, fire, or water, the last thing you want to do is go back and forth with your insurance company. So don't get rocked by your home's structural loss. Call Restoration America to represent you with your insurance claim. 772-335-1600. Restoration America is your local stormwater and loss repair provider. They have the knowledge the insurance companies don't want you to know. Restoration America is here for the people and are your local emergency response team. Call them now for a pre-storm agreement so you'll be guaranteed to have the contractors and Restoration America working for you at 772-335-1600. Restoration America, putting America back together, one home at a time. For over 20 years, Restoration America has cleaned, repaired, and restored homes and businesses throughout the Treasure Coast and surrounding areas. For details, visit restorationamericafl.com.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, October 7th. It's 83 degrees and partly cloudy, and it's going to be a beautiful week. It looks like our low is 70 for all the way through Friday. 84 looks like the high, and it does look like we're going to have a partly cloudy week. If you were with us last week, we want to welcome you to this week, and we want to encourage all the new WSTU listeners in Martin County, the Heritage Station, to sit back and relax. We are Restoration America, the home show. We have Amber in the house and Greg with us also. We are simulcasting currently on WSTU and WPSL. Check us out on Skype after the fact. We put them up the day after so you can see the whole show live, see us here in the studio. So we want to encourage you to tune in to us every Monday at 10 a.m. Usually about 10:05 we're with you right after the news. So we'd encourage you to join us here. Again, good morning, Amber.
Good morning.
Greg, it's good to have everybody again this morning. We're coming in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen, talking a little bit about the changes to insurance over the last year, the effects of mold in your homes, humidity. Something else we were talking earlier I wanted to tap on with the humidity in your home. Everybody has a different temperature they set the AC at, and, Dad's always pushing it up. He don't want the power bill high. Mom's pushing it down, and the kids, I think you know the rest of the story. So with that, we all attempt to keep our power bill down. I've recently looked at solar, which is something we'll talk about in the upcoming weeks, which is pretty exciting. They've got some really cool programs. Right now we rent our power. So we'll get into that next week a little bit more.
Okay.
But solar is absolutely awesome, some of the opportunity that they have out there. And to think that FP&L every year or the power providing provider there is always increasing that rate based on their increase.
Sure.
So ultimately, we're going to talk a little more next week about that. I would encourage everybody to know that's new to the show. Restoration America is a full restoration company. We take care of water damage, fires. If you've had a fire and you know someone that, God forbid, has had a fire, fire seems to be the most devastating in our industry. We do everything from relocations to getting kids uniforms, whatever we've got to do to help put people's lives back together. And, relocation with people's animals. We find that we talk a little bit about the effects of mold and how it hurts you as a person or how it could affect your life and your kids. But how about your animals are affected the very same way? And if I know everybody right, my animals, I have a little miniature dachshund. Actually, I have 2 of those and a German Shepherd. And my dogs are like they're truly my best friends. They never get upset with me. They don't ask for more money. They don't ask for anything else. They just want to eat at 6 o'clock. They're happy. Keep water in and let them swim in the pool. They're happy as could be. These animals of ours obviously are very important. So I would encourage you again, if your animal's having some of these symptoms that we've talked about today, if you're finding that the animal is having issues with, some of these, my little Doxy has this, he starts getting this asthmatic-like breathing. And if you go over and rub his neck and just kind of get him to swallow, 90% of the time it will go away. And we took him to the vet, and the vet says, no, the dog just gets this. I had heard that dogs, when they start doing that it could, it's like an asthmatic and that there's a treatment for it. Well, the vet said this particular thing will go away on its own, sir. We don't need to give it medicine, which I think we need to start practicing with people. Everything we do is we give them medicine to fix it. If there's a problem in your house or there's a concern in your house that you think Restoration America needs to come out and take a look at this, call us, 335-1600, Port St. Lucie, locally owned and operated. I am the owner of the company, Glenn Smith, and I'm encouraging you to call Amber at our office, set it up. We want to come out and help you in any way we can, give you direction, and it doesn't have to be something that you have an insurance claim open for. It could be very simple. Maybe you want to have the living room painted. We'll pass it over to our construction division. If you want to have your kitchen remodeled, we find commonly right there behind your sink where that little splash zone is, water gets between that wall, and if the backsplash is not in place there, even grout usually is compromised over a period of time where the water gets between that wall. So just know, going into next week, we're going to talk about a little bit of detail on other concerns with the residents that you can prohibit from happening. We have covered several subjects, even RVs and Amber's repairs today. But all joking aside, we actually take care of RVs and take care of double wides, single wides. We take care of commercial and residential homes. So please let us know if there's something we can do to help you. If you have any questions, Amber, did you have anything you wanted to add before we got to get out of here today?
No, just definitely important. If you have any, signs, symptoms, anything like that, give us a call. We'll come out, take a look, and give you, advice as to what your next steps would be and how to get it better for you guys.
Look, our subjects aren't always so exciting because nobody wants to deal with issues at the house that cost more money. Call us. Let us help you. Let it cost less money, less headache, and less health concerns. I want to thank you from Restoration America's Home Show this morning for taking the time to listen to us. I see Russ coming in. He's starting to get the camera over there going.
Well, Cliffy, yeah, he's there. He's working it.
I call him
He's
Russ. What the heck am I saying over here? I
That's
think I need another cup of coffee. That's all.
Just don't call him late for dinner.
Yeah,
So.
You said it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Home Show. WPSL, WSTU, our heritage station of Martin County. We'd encourage you to tune into us next Monday at 10 a.m. It's Restoration America Home Show.
You've been listening to Restoration America Home Show right here on WPSL Port St. Lucie, WSTU Stewart, Martin County's heritage station. And don't forget, Palm Beach County, and now Miami as well, on our digital side of WPSL and WSTU.